So let's discuss first what do we mean by maternity allowance. Maternity allowance is a payment you can get when you take time off to have a baby. You could get it if you are employed but cannot get statutory maternity pay, which is also known as SMP. You could get if you are self employed, have recently stopped working, take part in unpaid work for the business of your spouse or civil partner. You can get maternity allowance for up to 39 weeks. You can claim maternity allowance as soon as you have been pregnant for 26 weeks. Payment can start up to 11 weeks before your baby is due. What is the eligibility requirement for maternity allowance? You can get maternity allowance for up to 39 weeks if in the 66 weeks before your baby due, you have been either employed or earning £30 a week or more in at least 13 weeks. The weeks do not have to be together. Registered as self employed for at least 26 weeks. You may still get qualify if you have recently stopped working. It does not matter if you had different jobs or periods of unemployment. Now let's discuss if you do unpaid work for your civil partner or spouse. You might get maternity allowance for up to 14 weeks if for at least 26 weeks in the 66 weeks before your baby is due. You have been taken part in unpaid work for the business of your spouse, have not been employed or self employed in the same 26 weeks. Your spouse or civil partner must be registered as self employed with HMRC, pay class 2 national insurance contribution. Now let's discuss what if you lose the baby. You may still qualify if the baby is either stillborn from the date of the 24th week of pregnancy, born alive at any point during the pregnancy. Okay? Now let's discuss if you have employed or have recently stopped working. You will get £172.48 pence a week or 98% of your average weekly earnings, whichever is less, for up to 39 weeks if you are employed or have recently stopped working. You can get maternity allowance for up to 39 weeks. This means if you take the full 52 weeks statutory maternity leave, your final 13 weeks will be unpaid. What if you are self employed? In that case, you can get between £27 to £172 a week for up to 39 weeks if you are self employed. How much you get depend on how many class 2 national insurance contribution you have made in the 66 weeks before your baby is due. To get £172.48 pence per week, you must have been registered with HM Revenue and Customs for at least 26 weeks in the 66 weeks before your baby is due. Paid class 2 national insurance contribution for at least 13 weeks of the 66 weeks before the baby is due. You may get £27 for a few weeks while your contribution are linked to your maternity allowance application. Your payment will be increased and backdated if necessary. This can take several weeks. If you have paid less than 13 weeks of contribution, what would be the scenario in that case? Your maternity allowance will be calculated based on how many weeks of class 2 national insurance contribution you have made. If you are not paid any class national 2 insurance contribution, you will be entitled to £27 per week maternity allowance. You can top up your contribution to increase your maternity allowance after you apply. Now let's discuss increase your maternity allowance. How can you do that? After you apply HMRC, the HMRC will contact you if you have paid less than 13 weeks of class 2 national insurance. They will tell you how many additional contribution you need to get the full amount of maternity allowance. The HMRC will be in touch with you to update you about it. Depending on how many additional contribution you pay, you can get between £27 to £172 per week for up to 39 weeks. Once your additional contribution have been linked to your maternity allowance application, your payment will be increased and backdated if necessary. This can take several weeks. Class 2 national insurance contribution are £3.45 per week. Now let's discuss if you do unpaid work for your spouse or civil partner business. You can get £27 a week for up to 14 weeks if you do unpaid work for spouse or civil partner business. How you are paid? Maternity allowance is paid every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. All benefits, pensions, and allowances are usually paid straight into the bank, building society, or credit union account. Effects on other benefits. When you claim maternity allowance, some of your other benefits payment may change, but your total benefits payment will usually either go up or stay the same. They won't go down. The benefits affected are universal credit, bereavement payment, carer allowance, council tax reduction, employment and support allowance, housing benefit, income support, job seeker allowance. You may also be affected by the benefit cap, which limits the total amount of benefits you can get. It applies to most people age 16 or over who have not reached the state pension age. What if you get universal credit? Your universal credit payment will be reduced by an amount equal to maternity allowance payment. You may get an extra amount of universal credit for your children, whether you get maternity allowance or not. Report a change on your universal credit account if you getting maternity allowance. Which benefit you get will affect which national insurance credit you are eligible for. If you get UC with maternity allowance payment, you get class 1 national insurance credit, which helps you qualify for some other benefits and state pension. Without maternity allowance, you get class 3 national insurance credit, which counts towards your state pension only. If you have been paid too much, you may have to repay the money if you did not report a change straight away, gave wrong information, were overpaid by mistake. Now let's discuss how to claim maternity allowance. You can claim maternity allowance once you have been pregnant for 26 weeks. Payment can start 11 weeks before your baby is due. In order to claim your maternity allowance, the form is MA1. You can either print it, fill it in, and or you can fill it in online and print it. Order a form if you cannot print it. The form has notes to help you fill it in. You will need to give information about your employment in the 66 weeks before your baby is due, which is also known as called as test period. You need to send your application to the address on the form. Now let's discuss what to send with your claim form. You will need to include other documents when you send it your claim form, your proof of income. You need to provide proof of your income such as original pay slips, a certificate of a small earning exemption if applicable for 2014-2015 tax year. You need to provide a proof of your due date and birth date of the baby. You need to provide proof of your baby due date even if the baby has already been born. This could be a letter from the doctor or midwife on a headed paper, your MATB1 certificate. If your baby has already been born, you also need to provide proof that this could be a birth certificate, a letter from a doctor or a housewife on a headed paper. This can be the same letter as the one proving the due date. Your MATB1 certificate if the section about the actual date of birth has been filled in by a doctor or midwife. Additional information you need to include your SMP1 form. If you were refused statutory maternity pay by your employer, more information about your partner's self employed business and the unpaid work you do for them. If you are applying for maternity allowance for up to 14 weeks, when you will hear about the claim, you should get a decision on your claim within 20 working days. If you are eligible, a form will be sent to you confirming your entitlement and asking you to confirm your last day of employment before leave. You need to report a change in case of any circumstances changes that happens while you are receiving maternity allowance. For example, if you go back to work, your maternity allowance could be stopped or reduced if you do not report a change straight away. If you are paid too much, you might have to pay the money back. You might also get a £50 fine for not doing it. How to report changes? You need to your national insurance number when you call maternity allowance helpline. The telephone number is 0800 169 0283. Or you can send the detail to this address. If you have any question regarding this, feel free to contact me and I'll get back to you.